Yours, my love, regrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to
I'll
mention.
give you a regret if you make a mess in this kitchen.
Okay.
You do?
I've only just walked in. And that's what we're discussing today. Regrets and errors. And a warm welcome to one and all. And for those of you who have not seen me before, my name is Langers, and I am the coffee-driven Scruffy trader. And what I'm trying to do is kind of put trading in the real world. Maybe show you a trick or two along the way. So if that sounds good, please smash the like button, click the little subscribe. Genuinely helps, but more importantly, it encourages me to do more of this. So what is it that I'm doing today? Well, when I was looking through the comments of the last video, I was requested if I would show the errors that I've encountered over my trading career. And it's a great question and video to make, because I genuinely think you need to understand what goes wrong in order to go forward. So it's a special salute to USB. Great suggestion. And do keep your suggestions coming and drop your comments below, because I genuinely answer every single one of them. So errors, right. Ooh. I've had a lot, but I guess I can boil it down to the 7 deadly sins. So that's what I'll do. I'll jump on the whiteboard and I'll go through what I think are my 7 deadly sins as to what happened at the start of my trading career. Because, let's be honest, trading is a career. And a lot of people who are out there thinking that you're just going to buy a course and you're going to be rich next week, good luck with that one. It's not quite that simple. There's a lot more to trading, and it's a lot to do with your psychology as opposed to your course and your plan. And you need to shake that out of you. I see it every day. You know, just tell me how you get in, tell me how you get out, and it'll be great. Doesn't matter. You could get in on the flip of a coin, you can get out on the flip of a coin. It's your discipline and a number of other things that factor in. But let me go on the whiteboard and I'll kind of try and put it into my strange way of looking at things.
Well, we're waiting.
Okay guys, so let's go through my 7 deadly sins. And trust me, as I was saying, it took me a long time to conquer, and I did them all. But the main ones are what I'm going to put up on the board. So where did it all start? Where did it go wrong when I initially started? Well,
Your plan. Do I really look like a guy with a plan?
that's right. There was no plan whatsoever. And there's the old analogy, you know, fail to plan, plan to fail. And that is exactly it. If you don't know what you're doing, you're finished before you start. And there's just no other way around it. You know, you must plan out what you're doing. And that kind of leads into number 2. And that's exactly it. I'm at the keyboard way too much. I am literally overtrading. You know, putting way too many trades on in quick succession, because obviously I know what I'm doing, you know, and this all correlates as we go down. You know, overtrading is a nightmare because it is not quality trades. It is quantity over quality. And then that kind of leads into the third part, which is...
You know what I am? I'm a dog chasing cars. I wouldn't know what to do with one if I caught it.
Yeah, I call it chasing cars. Just like a mad dog, you know, doesn't know what to do. It's, oh, this one, that one. Somebody said something on a forum. Oh yeah, right, I'm into it. Oh, someone said something there, so I'm into that. And ultimately, it was a nightmare. I mean, forums for me are a nightmare full stop. When I first started, I used to really enjoy the interaction and one thing and another. But now I just find it noise. And because of the way the industry is, if you're somebody like myself that becomes a public figure, it is horrible. And it is very devastating to your trade. And when I speak to people and I talk to them about what they sort of encounter in various groups, a lot of it's just noise. And they end up chasing cars because somebody said, oh, that's good. It's like a shiny new toy. And that shiny new toy leads you over into the next part.
I see something special, something shiny.
Which is system hopping. Because when you're sort of starting out, one, you haven't got a plan, so you're taking anything you see, you're chasing around after cars or signals. I don't believe in signals, and in the groups that I sort of support and run, it is the number one rule: no signals, because it teaches you nothing and gets you into hot water. And it's a simple fact, and it's something I truly believe in. I think signals, along with overtrading, are the devil's work. Yes, Charles Yoxie, I am talking to you. Sorry, it's an in-joke. The little redneck overtrades like there's no tomorrow, and I keeps rapping his fingers.
Cheeky fuckers.
But system hopping is another one. You see, all systems work at one time or another. The difference between each of the systems is the win rate. If you understand you have a low win rate, that's fine. You just make certain that your profit is always bigger than the loss. And you just accept it. And you live with that. That's what swing traders do. Day traders, one-to-one. You kind of offset. But you know what it is. So your win rate becomes important. And your system is also important, because you need to stick with it. I use at best about 3 at any one time. I have my bread and butter, my swing, and then there's like certain conditions might arise and I'll pull something else out of the tool bag. But essentially I don't change what I do. I know roughly what the win rate is. I know how much I need to get out of it, and I stick to it over and over again. And that's part of the next part. And the next part is probably one of my biggest failures.
It's a tiny piece of paper. Okay, that's all it is. Tiny piece of paper.
And that's it. I'm not looking at the big picture. When I first started, all I thought was 5-minute chart, be all and end all. You know, get in, get out. Yeah, gonna make a fortune.
You ding dong!
No, because what does a 5-minute chart actually tell you? Nothing. It's brilliant for getting your entry fine-tuned. But to actually see what's happening in the market and the sentiment of the market, it's just noise. Absolute noise. You want to be looking at your hourly charts. And when I started looking at the hourly to get an idea, but more importantly, looking at the daily, the 4-hour, and even the weekly and monthly as an overview of what's going on, my trading got so much better, because you're looking at the bigger picture and not just focusing on a tiny, tiny little section of what's going on. And that does help you, because you can see the overall direction of where you want to go. You know, which is great. And then ultimately where you want to go is profit. But your profit comes at a price. And that price is the next part. And this is something that ties into the very last bit altogether. And it is...
out of the frying pan and into the fire.
No risk. My risk management when I first started was shocking. It was absolutely terrible. Why? Because I had a good sized company sitting behind me. I had a decent amount in the bank. I didn't care. I was arrogant and foolhardy, I guess is the way. Because I would put a position on that was way too big. It would go against me. And suddenly it's like, shit, this is mounting up really quickly. Because foolhardily you sort of think, well, the bigger position, the more profit I get. What you should be thinking is, the bigger position, the more of a punch I'm going to get. And it really is that. Risk management is probably one of the biggest killer of accounts, because you'll hang on to a trade too long, the position size will be too big, and before you know it, you're in a world of pain. And then that pain plays havoc with your emotions. And then you make stupid mistakes. And why do you make stupid mistakes? Because you didn't plan it in the first place. And what's the next stupid mistake? You've lost, you're angry, you want a revenge trade because the market's hurt you, you want to get back into the market, so you overtrade. And because you're overtrading, you're chasing a car. And because you're chasing a car like a mad dog, you can never catch it, you think your system doesn't work, so you change the system. Which again is no good, because you haven't seen the big picture, and all of that was tied together because you didn't put on the right position size in the first place. And ultimately, the reason I failed and the biggest mistakes I ever made was down to one thing.
I don't know where you get your delusions, laser brain.
And that's right. Ego. My ego was terrible when I was younger. You know, through the years, you learn to calm down. I've always been a big personality. You know, life and soul, one thing and another. And I'm a true believer in putting your all into everything. And I do. But that can be detrimental, because it means you refuse failure. So my ego made me think I was invincible. I was better than the market. And boy, was I wrong. The market can be very, very cruel. But because you believe that you're right on every trade you take, how dare that market go against me? Everything's aligning. It's doing what I think it should do. You hold on and you really set yourself up for a fall. And the place where you're going to fall is flat on your face. But once you've had some substantial losses, and trust me, I've blown quite a few accounts when I first started. Bear in mind, I've done this a long time. You learn the hard way. I never learned from making a lot of money, because I did make a lot of money as well. And that was actually a bad thing, because it increased the ego side of me, thinking I am really going to win this. Excuse me. Sorry about that, guys. No shock what's on my ringtone. So as I was saying, ego is probably the hinge pin that puts all of this lot together. Because it's your failure to admit that you're wrong. And admitting that you're wrong is a tough thing, especially if you're reasonably successful in life, because you've had it conditioned into you that you are right. You know, but the market has other ideas. And the market will always be stronger and more fearless than what you are. But you don't believe that. And the only way you learn it is when you blow your account. And I lost a lot of money. I'd made a lot of money, built up a good pot. And within a few days, I lost the lot because I made some stupid mistakes. And why did I make those mistakes? Because of that lot. And it wasn't until I lost a substantial amount that I literally sat back and thought, this is wrong. I'm wrong. And that was a hard thing for me to do. So I had to just go back to the drawing board. I wrote down a few rules on a piece of paper and I kept it to the side of my keyboard. And I followed it time and time again. And one of those rules was do not increase your position size. And I had it in big letters across the top. Do not increase position. And then when I built the pot up, I could then add a rule in that was you can move your position size up. Move your position size up ever so grunt, but ever so slowly. And that's where the compounding plan was created. You know, I had to slow it down because I was trying to compound a balance, trying to get sort of 5% a day, 1% a day on the balance, and it was unachievable. But if I looked at the bid size, once I'd made X amount of money in the account, I was allowed to move the bid size up by a small percentage, and a small percentage, and a small percentage. And the compounding effect was pennies, but it all mounted up. And that's kind of where it came from. It's changed in one thing through the years as I've got better. But essentially, it all came from getting a bloody nose. And boy, did I get a bloody nose.
If you can't take a little bloody nose, maybe you ought to go back home and crawl under your bed.
And that's it, guys. That's kind of my 7 deadly sins, shall we say. And have I combated them? Pretty much. The one that still haunts me is that one. My ego. Because I do have a high win rate. And sometimes I do think, bollocks to it, I'm invincible here, I can do this. I'll just go for it. And I have to physically reel myself in. And it's something I still struggle with today. But I do have a plan. I don't system hop. Don't chase cars. I always look at the bigger picture. And I always know how much a trade is going to cost me before I enter it. And they are my principles. The profit side, because you've heard me say I look at risk and profit separately, I do, is then what I can get out of it. But that's the way that I follow it in the first place. So I hope that all makes sense. By all means, drop your comments below. It'd be great to touch base and sort of even hear your horror stories. Because I think you learn by your mistakes, not by your triumphs. And there we go. So trade well, keep your risk managed, and above all, do what you love, and the money will follow. See you all in the next one.